Beryl Gardenant is a literal killing machine when it comes to his sword mastery. Renowned as the Backwater Swordmaster, Beryl Gardenant is unknowingly responsible for bringing up students who would become future heroes of the capital. Do you want to know the best part? He's a humble and kind man, but boasts monstrous abilities with the sword. He duels with all of them and effortlessly defeats them. Stay tuned to find out if he survived his encounter with the legendary beast Xeno Grey Bull in an epic clash. In an epic dojo showdown, the ultimate sword master is challenged by a thug. The disciples of the Swordmaster have nothing to worry about, placing their faith in the might of their master. In a forward-facing slash, the battle is already ended when Beryl Gardenant delivers an incomprehensible attack. In the kingdom of Leberus, there are rumors of an OP Giga Chad sensei who was responsible for training the strongest heroes. The man who is referred to as the Backwater Swordmaster is a legendary swordsman above all. Alusha is on her way to arrive at the dojo, cutting to Beryl's training. He's even scolded by his father at this age for overexerting himself. Beryl explains that he's done his fair share by coaching his disciples in the dojo, but his father has got some serious Asian parent expectations and wants this dude to just pipe down some chick already. Beryl is black-pilled and thinks that no one would want a loser from a nameless family. Like each swordsman desired to become an adventurer through training, Beryl also shared the same goal in his formative years. The boy yearned to make a name by saving the city with his blade. However, years flew by, and at most, he could just become a teacher instead of fighting on the front lines. Beryl underestimates his capabilities as a result of his social status. Beryl remembers Alusha's remark about marrying him someday. Coincidentally, Alusha enters the scene, having matured from her years of training. Beryl is engulfed in a feeling of pride. Alusha Citrus is currently stationed as the leader of the Liberio Knights and was once Beryl's very own pupil. Alusha was a prodigy in her own right, deeply admired Beryl, and was gifted Beryl's promised sword upon graduation. Beryl is surprised that she kept the sword, instead of snagging some high-level blade. Alusha wants to treasure the blade and explains her recent responsibilities in instructing knights. She's at the height of being the most capable knight. Beryl shares his sincere admiration. Suddenly, Alusha tells him that she recommended Beryl Gardenant as the special instructor instead. Shocked, Beryl comes to a pause. To clarify yet again, Alusha tells him that she wants him as their instructor. Beryl realizes that the role of the royal instructor implies that he would be chosen as the finest swordsman of the kingdom. He couldn't possibly comprehend how he was recommended. Alusha even tells him that he is to depart with her at once, as this is an order from the royal capital. Arriving at Valtrain, the capital of the kingdom of Leberus, Alusha holds a meeting with the rest of her trainees. She introduces Beryl Gardenant as their official instructor. Beryl can easily tell that these are the best of the best. However, Alusha openly admits that her master surpasses even her swordsmanship. Beryl is caught off guard and faces social anxiety on stage. He can't even speak for his life. After the meeting, Alusha tells him that he'll only have to teach them a handful of times a month. Beryl thinks that the knights are impressive enough to be their own. They go shopping, easily catching a lot of attention from the rest of the people thanks to Alusha's rank. Alusha feels flustered as this cute dumbass realizes this is basically a date. Suddenly, the strongest of adventurers, Selena Lysandra, arrives. She sees Beryl and frantically approaches him. Beryl remembers that it's Selena from 20 years ago. Selena loses herself in excitement after meeting her sensei. Beryl had sheltered for years before eventually sending her to adoption. The jealous Alusha confronts Selena because she wants some of her sensei's time too. They're both pissed at each other and become competitive enough to attract the attention of the people around them. In the Adventurers Guild, Selena and Alusha immediately catch attention, showing both of them respect. Beryl is no stranger to what's happening before his eyes. Beryl is given a blade to try and test out his skills. Both Alusha and Selena are excited since they've always wanted to see him in action again. Beryl internalizes that a sharp blade requires precise strength for perfection. Lowering his body's tension, Beryl reaches calmness and concentrates his slice into a perfect slash. Both Alusha and Selena are impressed. What's shockingly impressive about his slash is that the dummy remains unmoved. That's the mark of a true expert. Later, they even realize that the blade Beryl used to perform the perfect slice was blunt, and yet it didn't hinder the Backwater Swordmaster's elite skill. Just so you guys know, this would be impossible to perform in real life. That's how good this guy is. Beryl, the latest instructor of the Knights, believes that he's just received the most prestigious career of his life. Beryl is underconfident in his ability and is subject to believing he's manipulating others with his skills. Upon returning home, Beryl's father orders him never to return home. The following day, Alusha is astonished to learn about Beryl's predicament. Beryl remembers meeting Landred, another one of his students who grew up, married, and even retired as an adventurer. This caused his father to get so annoyed that he replaced his own damn son with Landred in charge of the dojo. Beryl's face basically went WTF, man, as he tried to process his father's words. His father wants Beryl to focus solely on his duty in the royal capital and bring home a wife. To Beryl, this seems like a hassle, but to Alusha, it's the perfect opportunity, as this girl has been trying to jump in his pants since the beginning. Beryl's facing trouble with the thought of finding a place to stay. Alusha jumps the gun and offers him the banger offer of a lifetime to stay at her place. The dude is sweating bullets and sincerely rejects her without a second thought. Honestly, what a Chad. That's how you know this dude isn't a simp like other isekai MCs. Arriving at the famous Adventurers Guild, Alusha thinks it's the best place to scout for information regarding Beryl's new home. Beryl meets Selena, who is flustered to meet him again. Beryl requests her help, and Selena is excited to oblige. They share a table together as Selena tells him about a location near the guild. Selena is stopped by Alusha, who objects to Beryl's need to be closer to the barracks for training. Their interaction goes exactly as expected, as the two chicks are fighting each other again to earn their master's validation. Thus begins a silent confrontation between two seasoned professionals. However, Beryl blitzes both of them in speed as he finishes their battle. Beryl is shown his place of stay. He likens the decent room as it is closer to the market. Beryl is glad, thanks to his students helping him out, though Alusha is a jealous girl for not being able to live with her sensei. Beryl, being the drunkard middle-aged man he is, thinks that he doesn't deserve so much success for being a nobody. He doesn't know what Alusha wants from him. The following day, Beryl is introduced to the training hall, where the knights are already practicing to be the best. One of the knights performs an amazing spiral slash that rips apart his opponent's blade. Beryl is out here thinking that these guys are going 100% in each battle. Alusha commands their attention and explains that Beryl will take over as their instructor. The trainee knights take him lightly, gossiping about the old man's amateur skills. Beryl had anticipated this reaction. Suddenly, a girl waves her hand. Beryl recognizes Kiruni at once. Beryl is impressed that Kiruni has come this far, and she's glad to receive another training session with him. Her remark actually floors him, and he begins to cry, realizing the kids that he taught have all grown up. Thinking of himself as an ordinary old man, Beryl is reclaiming his resolve. The knight from before, Hembritz Drought, introduces himself. He is the vice commander of their group, and is a dude you definitely wouldn't want to frick with. Hembritz is cautious of Beryl's true talents and wants to fight him, so that he can judge if their new instructor is capable of leading them. The time had come at last. Beryl Gardenant would reclaim his blade and reveal his true skills. The Liberio Knights is widely considered a battalion of warriors with the finest knights, given strict training to become the best. One of these knights is capable of fending off 10 ordinary ones. Vice Commander Hembritz is known for being the best among the best. Beryl didn't anticipate things would turn out this way. If Beryl chooses to decline, that'll put him in an uncomfortable situation. Yet, he doesn't want to lose pathetically and humiliate himself in front of others. That said, the bigger issue is that Alusha's career would be jeopardized if he failed. Alusha is thrilled and, instead of helping him out, encourages the fight to happen. The crowd gathers around the two fighters in anticipation. Kiruni had never seen Beryl in a proper fight before. Hembritz is a man whose strength is tantamount to superhuman levels. He's performed insane feats, so he's not an easy challenge. Inside his mind, Hembritz had expected something more from the Backwater Swordmaster. He had deeply wanted to hone his skills from this man. But then, Beryl arrived with incredible uncertainty and flailing confidence in himself. Hembritz couldn't digest this fact. Hembritz wondered if Beryl pressured her to recommend him for this position. Hembritz thinks that Beryl is secretly toying around. He wants to set the record straight and terminate the pest at once. With boundless bloodlust emanating from his body, Beryl wonders if this is truly where he meets his end. Beryl is expecting some final boss level combat. He hopes to keep up with this young lad, who's shaping up to be an incredible fighter. In the face of adversity, Beryl affirms his resolve. That's when Hembritz notices his shocking, icy, steeled composure. The first move is immediately made by the confident Hembritz, rushing in to end this battle in a flash. However, before the battle even begins, Hembritz has already been defeated and put on the ground. Lo and behold, the spectacle of Hembritz's instant defeat bewilders the crowd. Not a single person was able to see what happened in the few seconds that just flew past. Alucia helps Kiruni understand how things ended. Hembritz engaged in the fight, aiming to deceive his opponent with a feint strike. Hembritz extended his strike for a horizontal slash, but Beryl not only parried the attack after reading his move, but he also proceeded to tip him over. After that, it was simple. Beryl rested the blade on his neck, concluding the fight. All of those motions happened so fast, no one except Alucia could see them. Unable to accept defeat, the knight charges at Beryl for another attack, and receives a crushing blow against his face, accidentally striking him too hard. Hembritz is realizing that he's dealing with an actual god. Alucia even states that Beryl possesses an unnatural pair of eyes that could cut past the enemy's motions, deducing every last one of their attacks. He could spot the tiniest of openings to exploit his opponent, and thanks to his talents being honed to perfection, Beryl ended each battle in seconds. Hembritz has been defeated several times now, and realizes that if they had engaged in a true battle, he would have been killed several times. Hembritz tries to sweep Beryl off his footing, a technique that even Alucia was caught off guard by in their own match. After displacing Beryl's footing, Hembritz performs his spiral slash attack. The attack deploys a concentrated, accelerated strike with so much force that it is impossible to be blocked. However, the thunderous speed of this level 1000 Swordmaster is far beyond Hembritz's powers. Beryl wins, yet again, handing Hembritz his 4th L in this fight. If that's not enough to tell you that this dude can smoke anyone, I don't know what will. The story explores the fight between Alucia and Hembritz. Hembritz could have become the best, if not for Alucia's existence. Hembritz once inquired why she decided to become a knight. Beryl continues his fight against Hembritz, who is relentless in his resolve to defeat the instructor. Beryl isn't even struggling, while Alucia concludes the end of their battle. After the fight, Kiruni and the gang celebrate Beryl's appointment as their instructor. Alucia is enjoying the feast in front of Beryl, and embarrasses herself when he learns that she has a high tolerance for drinks like her master. Hembritz brings them a bottle. The dude has pulled a total of 180 and now respects his all-powerful master. Hembritz apologizes and becomes the biggest fangirl I've ever seen. Imagine getting smoked so hard that you literally switch personalities. Alucia admits that she cannot even defeat Beryl. She asks for Beryl's opinion of the fight with Hembritz. Beryl emphasizes that he fought a really strong warrior. Beryl was even impressed by Hembritz's clever use of tactics in his rotating slash. However, Beryl points out the attack's critical flaw, which is that it exposes a dangerous blind spot for the opponent to exploit. Hembritz gives this man the respect he deserves, and tells him that he's definitely needed to train their knights. Beryl hopes to work together with them. Hembritz even admits that it feels like an odd dream to see the Backwater Swordmaster. Beryl is struck with surprise by this remark. That night, Alucia is sulking in embarrassment that her sensei got to see a natural side of her. Alucia remembers her initial fight with Hembritz, and although she was able to dodge the rotating slash, she couldn't exploit the technique's weakness. Alucia remembers the time Beryl gifted her the most treasured sword. She couldn't fathom that her training had concluded. Alucia couldn't accept her level, since Beryl outclassed her in every way. Beryl told her that she was a prodigious fighter, who deserved to go out in the real world and make a name for herself. She just couldn't understand why Beryl was humble, perhaps even too humble, to the point of ignorance about his godly swordsmanship. Alucia proceeded to dedicate her life to a single goal. She arrived in the royal capital at a young age, and showed her immense talents by destroying the examiner in training. Her skill shocked the rest, as Alucia's sword skill far surpassed the knights of Liberio. But even then, a sense of dread, a feeling of emptiness, succumbed to her. The realization that no one could ever compare to her master's skills. Alucia soon became the strongest ever knight under Liberis Kingdom. She was then told to become an instructor to refine the knights of the Liberio Kingdom. This was the exact opportunity that Alucia had been looking for. She accepted the offer, but decided to recommend someone even more talented than her level. The only reason Alucia became a knight and drove herself this far was to ensure her master could gain the recognition he deserved. It may seem like an act of selfishness, yet she, as the strongest knight, has no ambitions to pursue any other dream. She remembers the time Alucia accidentally struck her opponent in training. While she wept in guilt, Beryl was there to comfort her. He always cared for the girl, and even called himself an immature person, thinking little of himself. Alucia knew that Beryl's sword skills were unparalleled, and that he would kickstart an era of warriors never seen before. Then, Beryl would finally be able to receive the respect he deserves. Rumors of the Hembrits, the vice commander of the Liberio Knights, reach across a pair of mages. Thistle realizes that it was the Backwater Swordmaster who defeated Hembrits, implying that she, too, shared a bond with this instructor in the past. Exploring the town's commercial district, Kiruni tags Beryl along, and eventually helps him get used to the view of the city. Hembrits expresses that there are a few favorite spots in the capital, while Kiruni is excited to show Beryl the sights of the city. Having arrived at the biggest market, Beryl is starstruck by the hundreds of shops. He can't even fathom where to place his eyes when suddenly, a cloaked figure comes in contact with the man, and refers to him as her sensei. The cloaked figure is revealed to be Thistle, whom her master guesses after a couple of tries. Thistle used to be a socially awkward introvert, much like the rest of you watching this video. Beryl spent his time helping her master the ways of the sword, but Thistle had other ambitions to look for, and eventually left the dojo. Kiruni invites Thistle along for their trip, while Beryl asks what she's been up to. Thistle has been dying to ask the same question, and reveals that she's become the ace magician of the magic division. Beryl, excited, realizes that she can impressively command magic. Background on the magic division is provided. It's an organization run by the mages, magic being a sacred and unique talent in the world. Just like the Liberio Knights, they're one of the powerhouses of the kingdom. Though Beryl had different expectations for Thistle, she turned out to become yet another amazing student of his. Thistle shows off one of her magic equipment accessories, which are weapons that perform certain functions upon being invoked. Thistle even shows them a cursed earring, and declares it's safe as long as the person doesn't wear it. She ties a bracelet around Beryl's arm. This accessory helps relieve her sleep, and will definitely help her master after his rigorous training sessions with the Knights. Thistle is out here cheerleading for the magic squad, while Beryl is as proud as hell of their student as any teacher would be. There's always a party pooper to ruin the heartwarming moment, and in this case, it's a thief. Thistle jumps into action, and instead of using her magic, she unsheathes her blade, surprising Beryl. Thistle then proceeds to charge her blade with magical energy, rendering a thunderous blast so powerful that it propels the man in the air. Beryl is utterly stunned by her impressive magic, while his accomplice runs to the alley. Thistle isn't too worried. She thrusts herself into the air and strikes him down as well. Kiruni collects the dumb thieves, while Beryl is left stunned by the might of the warriors in the kingdom. Thistle cutely explains that she used sword spells and is the strongest sword spell magician. The commander of the magic division taught her the use of sword spells, and she has since learned about the Backwater Swordmaster. Thistle comments that both of them are alike. That night, Beryl observes his bracelet and learns that it's been relieving the stress on his shoulders. He reflects just how powerful his students have become, achieving the status of the commander of the Knights, the strongest adventurer, and even an ace magician of the magic division. Beryl is starting to gain confidence in his teachings, but reminds himself that he's still trash, and that he hasn't personally accomplished a thing in his life. During that moment, a being emerges from an ember of a fire. These flame-like sorcerers are out here acting like the Human Torch. She immediately attacks Beryl with her magic. Beryl blocks the attack, and severs the creature's head in a single strike, but it has no effect on her, since this is another application of magic. Beryl observes that the doll must be controlled by someone. Interestingly, the doll seems to follow his trail wherever he goes. Thistle once told him that casting spells over long distances could exhaust a person. Following that advice, Beryl decided to search around for the caster. The mage responsible for casting the flame doll praises his powers for forcing her to reveal her presence. Beryl is shocked at first, but then later notes that it's nothing more than a child. This woman has become accustomed to Beryl's powers and understands how Hembrits, the Roaring Blade, was defeated in combat. Though she's giving speeches about assassinating Beryl, she looks nothing more than a midget yapping and hyping herself up. Beryl intriguingly notes the same bracelet on her wrist. The woman reveals that she defeated a sword mage to obtain his powers. Beryl, who is pissed as hell, demands to know Thistle's location. The woman goes all Gilgamesh with her Gate of Babylon-type magic. She thrusts hundreds of projectiles in Beryl's face, all of which he confidently defends against. Beryl shatters his way through each of her attacks, amusing the mage with his swift motions. Beryl is trying to create an opening to attack her, but he can't help focusing on her numerous spells. He's at risk of losing his stamina and eventually being defeated. On the flip side, this way, Beryl could exhaust her magic prowess by making her cast an infinite number of spells. A battle of grit and attrition begins. It's only a matter of time before one of them loses energy to keep up with the other. The woman unloads many of her spells, ensuring the swordsman finds no way to escape this fight. Beryl counters as much as he can, but then she casts a spell so powerful that a Fredic eruption occurs. The mage is confident and, at that moment, forgets to keep hammering him with more spells. Beryl emerges from the mist, having barely survived by the skin of his teeth. Beryl, in that movement, used his sword to carve up a barrier from the ground, deploying it as his shield. Beryl dodges one of her attacks. He's starting to notice an insane amount of killing intent from this woman, so much so that he has no choice but to avoid it. The woman is done testing Beryl, as she realizes that even the deadliest of her attacks are insignificant against this warrior. She confirms Fissel's safety, striking Beryl, confused as to how the magician even knows her name. The woman reveals that she's the one who taught her magic. Lucy Diamond introduces herself as the commander of the magic division. Beryl experiences a shock, realizing that he's just squared against the strongest magician in the entire kingdom. Lucy Diamond frowned upon the thought that she couldn't use one of her most powerful spells even in training, because no one would be able to survive being exploded to bits. That is until she learned of the Backwater Swordmaster's existence from her student. Lucy is impressed that he fended off each of her attacks. Beryl is more upset that Lucy lied about putting Fissel in danger. Lucy pouts that she only did so that he could take her seriously in battle. She apologizes for wanting to impress Fissel. The following day, Beryl meets up with Fissel. After exchanging greetings, Beryl thanks Fissel for the bracelet. Fissel shows him a potion that the magic division had made. They're used by the Liberio Knights. Her sensei offers to carry the bundle of potions for her, but this man's show of confidence turns to dust after he fails to carry it. On their way, Beryl shares that he exchanged a battle with the division commander of the mage unit. Fissel shares that Lucy capably uses the aging magic, preventing people from knowing her true age. It's safe to confirm that she's older than the both of them. Fissel even remarks that Lucy's magic knows no bounds and that she's extremely knowledgeable. It's been a miracle for Fissel to survive Lucy's brutal training. Beryl planned to help Fissel reach Alusha's office, but when they get there, Lucy, Alusha, and Selena are already there. This insane lineup of the squad wasn't what Beryl had anticipated before arriving. Lucy exclaims that they were talking about the Swordmaster just now. Both Alusha and Selena are shocked that the mage has come in contact with him before. Selena requests a favor from her master to train the other adventurers. She wants him to train a bunch of rookies to help conquer a dungeon. Selena explains that newbies are always accompanied by a higher-ranked adventurer on their first dungeon raid to safely secure the mission. However, they're facing a shortage of adventurers at present. Alusha argues that Selena's presence alone should be enough to take care of the dungeon. Selena counters that there's the chance of them encountering an unknown creature, which is why she doesn't want to cut corners. Lucy adds that the dungeon is said to have an unknown magic aura drawing out without reason. That's precisely why the guild has recommended a minimum of 2 adventurers to help complete the mission. With one of them being Beryl, they think the mission should easily be successful. Beryl immediately accepts after understanding the situation. Alusha is pleasantly surprised. They decide to regroup later at the guild. Lucy tells Fissel to tag along, promising an amusing experience. Alusha, accompanying Beryl, remarks that she was almost certain he would refuse. Beryl explains that he definitely wanted to refuse, but he's beginning to gain confidence, thanks to Alusha's recommendation. The best girl blushes and wishes him a safe journey. Mages and knights aside, adventurers were heroes who were a part of the guild. It was an ideal job to travel across the world, conquering various dungeons and defeating monsters. The requests always differed in ranking and priority. The adventurers themselves are ranked on a spectrum, from white to black. Their rank dictates the difficulty of missions they could take upon. The highest rank, Black, has enough influence to determine the very existence of a nation. That was the power Selena Lysandra, the strongest Black rank adventurer, held. 2 decades in the past, Beryl rescued her and nurtured the child after she survived a brutal monster attack. Selena was traumatized to the point of having amnesia. Eventually, Beryl taught her how to hold a weapon. That was the first time the girl could confidently remember her name. Tears flowed out of the man's eyes, and now, the same frightened and helpless little girl was a hero who had saved the world. Expecting their arrival, the Liberio Guild Master Nidas introduced himself and his assistant Majan. Majan is already eyeing this man down with a sharp gaze, similar to Hembrit's. Nidas mentions that he learned about the Backwater Swordmaster from Lucy and Selena. Beryl is surprised that they're already in the know about him. Majin speaks with bitterness, claiming that he's uninterested in letting an outsider like Beryl enter the dungeon. Selena is pissed as she would be, while Majin treats the Swordmaster as a weakling and thinks that Beryl is about to get one-shotted by a monster of some kind. Since the guild is built upon trust, the adventurers can't help and allow civilians to enter the dungeon and spread rumors of their deaths. Such an extreme remark it may be, but Majin sharply judges Beryl for his inexperience in the dungeons. Beryl explains that he did once explore the dungeon, but couldn't defeat even a single monster. It's quite the defeating revelation, especially when this man acts like he's seen a ghost of some kind. Lucy is unimpressed that this middle-aged woman is acting like a child. Majin is concerned that Beryl's experience in the dungeon is no different than that of a person like the other newbies. Obviously, he has issues leaving the lives of fellow adventurers in his hands. Selena butts in, furious to say that Beryl isn't an easy person to get killed. Lucy smirks, introducing a suggestion for Beryl's sake. She wants Beryl to be given the opportunity to prove that he's no different from a black rank adventurer. Nita realizes exactly what she means, and so it doesn't take long for them to set up a fight between Beryl and his student Selena. Beryl is Twitter-mouthing on the inside, and she recommended such a stupid idea. Selena, on the other hand, is more excited than ever to be given a chance to spar with her master. Thistle, Nita's, Majin, and Lucy are getting first-hand cinematic experience of this battle. Majin doesn't mind the outcome, since he is also interested in exploring Beryl's true strength. More importantly, he's curious about how Beryl would be able to overcome the strongest adventurer of their guild. Beryl knew about the notion that the ocean rank is deemed the highest of them all. Many adventurers join guilds simply to obtain this rank. However, not a single person was ever able to usurp the flames of becoming a black rank adventurer. The only requirement to become such a formidable existence is to surpass human limitations. Beryl is out here shitting bricks. He compares Selena to Kiruni or Alusha, both of which never boasted the same amount of dedication compared to Selena. She is a monster with unparalleled strength, unlike any warrior. Thistle and Lucy are amused as their epic battle finally begins. Selena dashes in her forward advance, impressing even Beryl's eyes for being light on her feet. Her first clash is barely blocked by him, while the second, Beryl prefers to dodge. The third, he ducks, calculating the next attack. Selena's sharp sense in battle quickly fools Beryl, who is set on the back foot and can't fathom an opening against the impossible adventurer. Lucy remarks that it was always meant to be a tough battle, while Majin internalizes that Selena's talents far surpass her sword fighting prowess. Evidence of her abilities is rooted in her fight against the legendary dragon, who appeared in the west of Leberus Kingdom. The guild declared it an emergency mission and sent the most powerful adventurers to take care of the threat. This monstrosity boasts immense self-regeneration abilities and is healed from each of their attacks. It was beginning to seem impossible to defeat, and the creature was even classified as the immortal dragon. The ocean-ranked adventurers failed to defeat the creature to the best of their abilities. That is until Selena Lysandra, a platinum-ranked adventurer of that time, not only arrived, but also mustered beyond human speed to slash the beast. The dragon couldn't regenerate fast enough, being ripped apart endlessly. Selena's most powerful weapon is not her speed, but her godly persistence. After overcoming and subjugating the immortal dragon, her two blades were carved and forged out of its body, and they were called the Twin Dragon Blades. Beryl, who is facing this legendary adventurer, notices that Selena's speed knows no bounds, as it only increases over time. Beryl can't find a single area open to attack her. It is during this moment Lucy is asked whether Selena is holding back some of her strength. However, Lucy denies this, stating that she's performing her absolute best. Lucy taunts Majin for presuming Selena's intentional defeat. Selena, in her own monologue, remarks that Beryl is the only person capable of withstanding her brutal barrage of consecutive strikes. At this moment, Selena, even with all her might, begs that her master's strength surpasses her own. That is her only desire, that Beryl still outclass her in strength. During this decisive moment of their epic clash, Beryl locks Selena's blade and chucks it in the air, shocking her. It's the same disarming technique that he used against Hembrits. Beryl mastered such techniques during his training to surprise his opponents. The battle is still far from over, but Beryl is the one who is making progress and catches Selena's very own blade from before. Using that same blade, Beryl pins Selena to the ground, shocking not only the crowd, but also the likes of Majin and Selena herself. Beryl declares that he's immensely proud of his student for her progress. The crowd roars in celebration for the underdog against the champion. Majin gets up and, like a pissy soy boy, accepts that he'll let Beryl supervise the newbie adventurers in the dungeon. After the fight, Lucy asks for Fissel's opinion of their battle. Fissel explains that while Selena possessed 2 blades, she had dominant control in her right hand. Her feints were less prominent with her left hand, something that Beryl could perceive during their battle. After disarming one of her blades, Beryl could break her barrage and overcome the situation. Fissel questions why she forced Beryl into the suggestion of fighting Selena. Lucy expresses her sheer hatred, not for the Swordmaster but because of his attitude. Beryl thought nothing of his powers, and even in their personal encounter, he did not care about victory or defeat, but rather treated the battle as if he had never achieved anything. Lucy couldn't just let him waste his greatness. He's like the Leonardo da Vinci and Musashi of their era. Lucy hated that his name was just being associated as an instructor. In fact, she's furious and wants to help people see Beryl's greatness for what it is. Fissel understands her words, but calls out her master for making her a hostage in that crappy pretend situation. In the next scene, Majin leads the newbie adventurers to a room, awaiting their experienced adventurer. The newbies got those My Hero Academia looking haircuts, and probably came from Loser Academy. Deep in the dungeon they're about to explore, a creature lies awaiting. On their way to the dungeon, the newbies are surprised to hear the news of Landred's retirement. He was also a platinum-ranked adventurer, and now takes care of Beryl's dojo for him. The newbies were trained by Landred. Beryl thinks that the experience is relatable. The new party consists of Porta, the bronze ranker, and the party's leader. There is Needly, who is timid and shy. Finally, there is Salikats, a silver ranker. Having met the legendary Selena herself, they were excited and even saw Beryl's fight against her. Talks of the unidentified monster are still up in the air. Majin explains that they barely have any information on the creature, and while some adventurers were sent to explore the monster's whereabouts, the dungeon isn't sure to guarantee the monster's presence. The dungeon is located in the Azaramia Forest's southern region, a landmark known as the Green Walks Cave. The party of 5, including 2 black rank level adventurers and their underlings, is here to merely guide them. Porta and the rest of his team are supposed to uncover the dungeon all by themselves, while receiving minimal guidance from Selena and Beryl. Beryl can't fathom the idea that the monster could attack the adventurers. He regains his composure and hopes to protect the young generation of adventurers. Beryl and Selena follow suit, while Salikats tells his group that there isn't anything to worry about. Beryl notices that Salikats is wearing a magic item that helps detect monsters from around. Salikats is considered the seeker of the group, prioritizing safety by detecting the presence of monsters immediately. Suddenly, Salikats signals there are monsters nearby. A bunch of ugly midget goblins are sitting beside a campfire. Beryl notices something happening up ahead. Porta and Needly are frightened the moment they discover these creatures are feasting upon their own kind. Instead of running away, Porta signals his group to exterminate the monsters. With their combined teamwork, they rush into battle. Beryl is scared for their safety, but Selena assures him that it's necessary to let them hone their skills in battle. Beryl notices that they all have impressive coordination with each other's skills. Salikats brutally takes down goblins that deviate from their usual attack pattern. Just when they're attacked from an uncovered opening, Selena steps in and kills the goblin. She guides the young adventurers to never leave their blind spots open, even to weak monsters. From this battle, they've noticed how the goblins were forced to adopt cannibalism to survive. Selena questions Porta's observational skills. Porta deduces that there must be an obstacle preventing the goblins from avoiding group hunting. This means a large-sized creature far beyond the likes of their strength exists inside the cave, a monster they believe to be their target. Once again, Beryl is amazed by the average adventurer's deduction ability. Since they were ordered to conclude the investigation and return, they chose to prevent further exploration. When Beryl asks about their performance, Selena states that Porta is outshined with his leadership skills. Beryl's analysis is fixated on their team coordination. He finds it impressive that they killed the creature without a second thought, as even a moment of hesitation could prove to be dangerous. As for the 3 party members, Needly informs Porta about his bleeding right arm. He suffered a scratch during the fight, and even though he tries to shrug it off, Needly insists on taking care of it for him. Beryl looks to Salikats, who knows what he's about to ask. Salikats confirms they're both blossoming and crushing on each other. Selena jumps into the conversation, offended that she didn't get to hear the tea. Dungeon raiding is the first step to becoming a true man, or at least that is what the average adventurer believes. Wow, so now we have yet another requirement to impress women, even scarier than being 6 feet tall or rich. Selena, the embarrassed woman, wants to play the third wheel and help their relationship mature. She's almost annoyed by Porta's refusal to take action. As they're about to leave the dungeon, Salakat senses nothing from around the area. Porta thinks they should escape the forest, while being cautious of nearby monsters. At that moment, Beryl's sharp perception catches a creature in the shadows. Selena is alarmed to inquire what happened. According to Salakat's magical ring, there is no creature, and yet Beryl could feel a tremendous shadow. Suddenly, the same shadow descends from above. Beryl issues the warning, while Selena tries to grab Porta. However, despite her fastest attempt, the creature launches Porta with a brutal attack, leaving him injured on the ground. Selena comes to witness the creature with tremendous speed. Beryl observes that they're dealing with the mythical griffin. Selena is terrified that it had to be this particular griffin of all. Previously, the guild had failed to exterminate a single threat, a powerful griffin called the Xeno Grey Bull. Individual monsters are those that are classified beyond their own. They are creatures so powerful that the guild pays special attention to their existence. They're powerful enough to be classified as natural disasters. Creatures of this caliber are rarely, if ever, slain, and there existed a monster among them deadlier than all others. Beryl's first concern is not the appearance of this tremendous beast, but rather Porta's safety. Selena enters the fight. The griffin tries to attack Selena, but she ducks and reaches to rescue Porta. Thankfully, he's still alive, but with his wounds, Porta's life is in considerable danger. The griffin roars to attack Selena, but it is as if the monster feels the presence of a creature far more monstrous than itself. The griffin is forced to acknowledge Beryl's presence and dodges his slash. Beryl commands Selena to rescue Porta while he'll become a distraction. Selena is forced to make this difficult decision and escape without her master to ensure the survival of Porta's party. Meanwhile, Beryl encounters the full wrath of the deadly griffin, delivering an incredible magic strike. Lucy had already informed him that some monsters boast elemental magic along with other powers. Beryl successfully survives the griffin's onslaught and attempts to slash the beast in a decisive moment. Just when Beryl had thought he created an opening to sever the creature's head, he is appalled to see that it is his sword that got incinerated to ashes. Such is the power of the Griffin of Undying Ashes. Beryl calculates his chances of defeating the Griffin, knowing that he can't outrun such a ferocious beast in this battle. In order to guarantee Porta's safety, Beryl sheathes his blade and decides to go all in. The scene switches to Selena, who has finally left Porta at the carriage with his teammates. She even ordered their evacuation, but Selena's current concern is that she's left Beryl all to himself. Not to mention the fact that Beryl sensed the creature's presence and helped them evade the Griffin's brutal descent. Selena is confident that they'll be able to slay the Xeno Grey Bull, but she can't digest the fact she's the one who got rescued. Selena remembers her past, a past that she shared with her family long before a sudden monster eviscerated both her parents. The carriage was sunk in a waterfall, and the traumatized little girl woke up afraid of everyone and everything. At that time, Beryl could realize that he frightened the poor girl, a testament to her tragic life. She didn't eat for days, but Beryl was insistent, even against the wishes of his mother. He wanted to help nurture the child. Selena faced a cruel fever one day, with her condition worsening even more. Beryl hurried to fetch a doctor in the extreme cold, just for the child's sake. The young Selena was haunted by the loss of her family, and in that horrid place, only Beryl's comforting hand could help her heal. When Selena felt afraid after waking up, she discovered an exhausted young man, who persevered and carried Selena to the hospital, ensuring that she lived. That was the first time Selena shared a proper meal. Eventually, Beryl left Selena for better care. Selena only had one hero, a man whose ideals she wanted to embody as an adventurer. Returning to Beryl's amazing fight against the Griffin Xeno, Beryl delivers numerous sharp strikes, going as far as to puncture the creature's left eye. The monster thrusts his claws, but Beryl uses his same broken blade to pierce the creature's right eye as well. Even after impaling the creature's eyes, Beryl notes that the monster refuses to give up, even after suffering such injuries. Beryl is glad that he was able to ensure the creature wouldn't chase Selena, and thinks that he did enough for being a nobody. Beryl accepts his end, and suddenly hears Selena scream for his name. Xeno Grey Bull delivers its charged strike, and just when it seems like the end of the Backwater Swordmaster, Beryl dismantles the creature's claws, rendering it immense pain. It is only because of Selena's blade that he was able to perform this feat in a short amount of time. We're given a recap of the scene, as Selena tossed him one of her blades to survive the Griffin's magic. Beryl observes that the Griffin is losing its edge. He tells Selena to aim for the Griffin's neck to bypass its flame armor. Bearing one sword each, Beryl and Selena advance ahead, while Xeno Grey Bull releases a barrage of magic attacks. Both Selena and Beryl are able to bypass the creature's defenses, releasing a powerful conjoint attack. and impressing each other with their speeds. Their movements were in complete sync with each other, forcing the griffin to charge up a strong magical attack from the sky. Beryl grasps the situation and realizes the creature is planning to kill them all. Beryl tosses the blade mid-air, letting Selena catch it and deliver an epic takedown. At long last, Xeno Grey Bull is finally defeated. Selena is resting, but Beryl is worried she got hurt somewhere. Selena noticed that he suffered a burn on his left hand. Selena personally treats him with their potions. After the fight, Porta has recovered and apologizes for his mistake. Selena is glad the young adventurer survived at all. She also comments that he did well in protecting Needly. An encounter with an individual beast is an impressive tale of survival. Majin joins them and personally thanks the Backwater Swordmaster for his efforts in taking down the Xeno Grey Bull. Majin is then busied with the logistics team to retrieve the corpse of the creature slain. Beryl asks if recovering the corpse is necessary. Selena explains that the guild collects such supplies, especially when it comes to retrieving an individual monster. Many scholars and mages come rushing to collect the monster. They decide to join each other for a meal. Beryl is waiting for Selena to arrive, and eventually gets tasked with a guild's job. Selena is stumped to see this man carry out basic tasks. She riles up the attention of the guild, cheering Beryl as the warrior responsible for defeating the griffin. The scene switches to Salicats, who is visiting Porta. Porta mentions how Landred intentionally lets people steal credit, never being able to advance to ocean rank. Porta compares him to Beryl, who is humble enough to do the same, even after defeating Selena. Porta remembers when Beryl extended his hand for a handshake. He could notice the incredible amount of stress his hands had gone through. Porta thinks that, like any other adventurer, his ambitions are nothing compared to Beryl's might. Selena chugs down a fire meal while the others are working. Beryl explores Selena's life after she leaves the dojo. Selena tells him that she was taken care of and feels guilty that she didn't even visit him once in 20 years. Beryl doesn't mind, but Selena takes it to heart. She admits to being a selfish fool. Beryl, relieved, states that he's happy to see her enjoy life as she is now. He doesn't want her to make time exclusively for him. Selena whines for a bit, but they eventually laugh and share a loving moment as a student and teacher. Majin even compares them to a doting parent and his daughter in that they behave far too similarly. Entering the forge of a competent weaponsmith, Selena takes Bartle for a request. Switching over to Alucia, she's mad more than ever. Beryl notices and tells her he's speeding through recovery. Beryl tells her that even Selena got wounded. Her hand was grazed at most. Alucia is relieved that they're all fine, and notes that Selena is stubborn. Beryl is glad that his students secretly worry for each other. Alucia goes on ranting that the griffin is supposed to be a nightmare for a swordsman, so she's vexed about his injuries. Kiruni is seen training in an intense match against Evans. Evans is overpowered by Kiruni and is absolutely destroyed in this fight. Despite Kiruni's small figure, she's an excellent fighter in close combat. Surprisingly, Evans is capable of dodging Kiruni's strike and uses his blade to deliver the decisive blow. He's won yet again, 3 times, in fact. Hembritz and the other knights observe their training, while Beryl praises Kiruni for her battle and asks if she's good. Kiruni tries to feign ignorance, but Beryl notices something about her condition. Even Hembritz is alarmed. Kiruni runs off in an effort to escape the conversation. Later, Beryl is told that Kiruni has been losing constantly as of late. She's hit a roadblock. Kiruni believes that the others have gotten used to her style, so she's easy to read in battle. Kiruni's attacks are useless since she lacks the reach and can easily get overwhelmed. Beryl is impressed and realizes that Kiruni acknowledges her shortcomings during battle. Beryl even praises her close combat prowess, while criticizing her for being a one-trick pony who could face real combat. Kiruni understands what he's saying, so Beryl takes her somewhere else. They arrive at the blacksmith, a location that Kiruni has already visited before. Kiruni excitedly shoves Beryl inside, who takes notice of the various swords hanging around. The blacksmith Bartle is easily swayed by emotional stories, and is in the process of helping a man receive a weapon for free. Bartle is too nice for his own good. Kiruni greets him as a knight of Liberio, much to the man's dismay. Beryl spots Bartle, who is revealed to be yet another student of his. Bartle beams with happiness that his teacher has arrived in the capital. Bartle spent his time training with Kiruni at Beryl's dojo. He wanted to learn the ways of the sword, and didn't feel ashamed training with children. Kiruni tells him to stay clear of losers, who are trying to get a sword out of him for free. Bartle might be naive, but he's also an honest person who thinks well of others. Beryl observes great swords all around, but Swayhander catches his attention. Instead of picking a weapon for himself, Beryl is here to choose a weapon for Kiruni. helping her increase her reach during combat. It's what Beryl had thought after hearing her complaint. Kiruni was afraid she'd be unable to pull off cool moves in close range, but Beryl alleviated her worries. Bartle is having a hard time digesting the idea of Kiruni mastering a two-handed weapon. In order to test her new weapon, Beryl stands at a distance outside Kiruni's reach. Kiruni senses an incredible feeling, a sensation that confirms that she's able to reach him now. Kiruni is convinced to make the purchase, while Bartle states that he has something for Beryl. The other day, Selena had come to his place to tell Bartle of their epic tale, defeating the Xeno Grey Bull. Consequently, Selena left an important artifact behind in Bartle's care. The artifact is revealed to be the talon of the legendary beast that Beryl and Selena defeated. Bartle tells him that he's going to make an unbelievable sword for him using the talon. In their conversation at the guild, Selena revealed an interesting property about her weapon. It's capable of healing itself thanks to the regeneration ability of the immortal dragon. She is excited to see what kind of abilities Beryl's weapon would be capable of. Bartle delivers a firm handshake with Kiruni after sealing the deal. It's as if he's shaking the hand of a powerful bull in the body of a girl. That's how much strength Kiruni possesses. Kiruni is advised to take care of the grip. He's going to extend the ricasso section of the blade to better fit her needs. Bartle possesses a unique talent for analyzing the abilities of the knights long before they're about to realize it themselves. His talent helps him uncover the quality of weapons, too. In short, he's the best blacksmith you could ever ask for. Kiruni is handed the bill for the purchase, which she finds rather cheap. Bartle explains that she's being given a prototype. It's also a discount from the man himself. Beryl reads the bill and literally dies from the inside. It's actually an expensive bill for his standards. Now, for Beryl's weapon, Selena had already paid the amount in advance. It was Bartle's first time ever forging a weapon out of an individual beast. Beryl, being the humble cookie that he is, refuses the offer. A stunned Bartle questions him. Beryl shrugs his accomplishment and tells Bartle that Selena defeated the beast, so he shouldn't be given a reward. Bartle begs Beryl to the point of whining. Beryl showcases his ability by slicing a dummy in its place. Bartle observes his weapon and notices that it's just a regular sword. Bartle entertains the idea of the griffin's heat energy passing on to Beryl's weapon. He thinks that Beryl could reach even greater heights of strength if it were the case. Bartle promises his master that he will craft a weapon to go down in history. Beryl is embarrassed and forced into accepting the weapon, promising to take good care of it. Bartle reaches out for his hand to judge Beryl's power. Lo and behold, Bartle is probably guessing his entire existence, as the creature he sees is no different than a Lovecraftian apocalypse. Bartle freezes monetarily, and later questions if there's a way to help Beryl become stronger at all. He is convinced that the sword must satisfy the gargantuan potential of Beryl's talent. The month ends with Beryl receiving his salary and looking after the knights as their instructors. Even though Alusha told him that it was a normal amount for the instructors, Beryl couldn't fathom getting so much money so fast. But even with his current salary, Selena's payment for the sword far outclasses him. Beryl is feeling dangerous and takes a shortcut on his way home. A cloaked figure observes this man, following him wherever he goes. Beryl is constantly worried he'll lose his money. He suddenly bumps into the cloaked figure, who gets caught red-handed trying to steal his money. Beryl is attacked by the thief's knife and instantly catches it with ease. He tries to play it nice and innocently. Although the man lets go of his money, he also distracts Beryl with fire magic before making his escape. Beryl doesn't pursue him and checks the satchel, only to realize it's a fake. The thief returns to his treacherous company. It is actually revealed to be a woman called Mui, who doesn't like to play around. Their leader, a man who probably went to fashion school, questions Mui about whether she faced trouble on the way. Mui explains that she struggled a bit, which surprises their leader. Mui denies using magic and is reminded that she'll get captured and sold as a slave. It's a phrase she's heard many times over. The leader exclaims that she's still in debt of 5 million dark and allows her the chance to return home so long as she can collect the money. Suddenly, Mui experiences a jolt. She realizes that she dropped her pendant along the way. That pendant casually rests in Beryl's hand, who ponders what to do with the item, barely even considering that he just lost his salary. The following day, Beryl is still seen holding onto the pendant. Alusha praises him for his excellent coaching, as Kiruni is getting used to her new weapon. Alusha suddenly sparks up with an idea to gain her master's affection. However, she refuses to use any other blade than the one he gifted her. Alusha asks for Hembritz's opinion, who was noticing Kiruni's train during each of the fights. Hembritz notes that she once felt depressed, having failed the mission. Kiruni was the type to cheer herself, even though Hembritz was able to see that it took a lot of strength for her to admit such words. Beryl is happy that his many students are all concerned for each other's safety. Alusha notes that Kiruni's presence single-handedly eased the tension of the nightly order. Beryl seeks Alusha's attention and reveals the broken pendant. The best girl gets jealous that he received a gift from another girl. Beryl declines such involvement. As for Mui, she's going crazy, questioning where she dropped her treasured item. She remembers her clash with Beryl when, suddenly, the man himself approaches her. Mui tries to run off, but Beryl easily catches her. Beryl is called all sorts of nasty things when he finally reveals the pending things she had been looking for. It's funny how the city guards end up arresting Beryl when he was clearly expecting them to catch Mui instead. Mui thinks it's the best opportunity she has to run away, but seeing the innocent man pinned down like that, she's surprised. Coincidentally, Fissel arrives at the scene and explains to the guards that the dude they have pinned to the ground is the instructor of the Liberio Knights. After he's freed, Beryl thanks Fissel for the save. As for Mui, Fissel judges that the child possesses immense magic prowess. They decide to take her to Lucy. Lucy's first demand is for this girl to take a bath. Mui struggles and remembers the embrace of her mother, who also took care of her in the same way. She begins to tear up, while Lucy is impressed by the non-existent balls of this girl for trying to steal the wallet of the strongest sword master alive. Beryl apologizes to Lucy, but she's proud to have gained another disciple. Beryl remembers his conversation with Alusha, who mentioned only a handful of people used magic for thievery. Those born with magical prowess usually achieve high status, so it is a mystery why Mui ends up a thief. Mui is treated to a fine breakfast, while Lucy takes her introduction. Lucy invites her to come to the Magic Academy since she boasts a high magic prowess. Lucy suggests that Mui would never be able to steal after helping people and earning money. Strangely, Mui begins coughing and at once uses a knife to pin Lucy. Mui orders no one to use magic or else Lucy will be killed. Fissel wants to act immediately with bloodlust, but Lucy gestures to her to stop. Mui demands the mages take her to someone who can revive the dead. When Lucy questions why, Mui states that she wants her sister to be reborn. Lucy destroys her bubble and tells Mui there isn't magic out there that revives the dead. Mui, unable to accept reality, insults Lucy for being a spoiled brat, not knowing who she's talking to. Mui then demands that all of the money be brought. Lucy inquires the name of the man who ordered her to do such horrid things. In fact, Lucy sharply deduces the exact words the leader of the gang told her. He promised to help her meet a mage that could revive the dead. Mui angrily denies reality and even vomits the same lies that her boss taught her. He taught her that mages were evil, that they kidnapped people and later sold them as slaves. Mui, at this moment, thought she was the better of them all. In a sudden flash, Lucy takes Mui's blade and forcibly drives it across her neck. 1,000,000 aura points, this girl is insane. Lucy looks down upon the mere knife and claims that magic can heal mortal wounds, but no magician boasts the ability to resurrect the dead, even after sacrificing much of their lives. Lucy Diamond introduces herself as the commander of the Mage Division and emphasizes that she is living proof such magic doesn't exist. Confronted by this impossible reality, Mui begins to wither and mentally breaks down. In her fragile moments, Beryl questions if it is truly the case that such magic doesn't exist. Fissel reflects that she has never seen Beryl with intense anger in her life. Beryl reaches out for the poor girl and realizes that the pendant belonged to Mui's sister. Mui begins to cry and finally reveals that a shady man came to her with the pendant after sharing the news of her sister's death. Mui doesn't even know where she is. Beryl politely tells Mui he is willing to look for Mui's sister. Mui thinks this is another scheme of some kind, but Beryl tells her that she's capable of so much and should be freed of her dark past. Lucy remarks that Beryl is serious, while Mui finally reveals that the man is called Twilight. He's a magician with many abilities, and a few people are working under him. She thinks it's impossible to defeat Twilight, but Lucy takes it as a challenge, and wants to have a little one-on-one conversation with this man. Both Beryl and Lucy have teamed up for some serious ass-kicking that needs to be addressed. Meanwhile, Twilight's opinion of deceiving Mui up to this point is that he merely enjoys it. He thinks they'll be able to tap into an infinite amount of money with her undying loyalty. Twilight is certain they'll be fine, and even reveals that her sister is still alive. There's a knock on the door, asking if it's Mui who arrived. There is truth in the fact that she did, but unbeknownst to Twilight, hell is about to break loose. Twilight is a cunning man who leads a band of crooks and criminals, but since they operate in secrecy and pose little threat, They fly under the radar. Until today, Twilight senses that there is someone more than just Mui at the door. He orders his men to take care of the problem. But then the door slams open as Lucy Diamond, the greatest magician in the history of the world, steps inside. Lucy immediately gets to the point. Twilight demands the door to be closed, locking out Beryl with Mui. They're confronted with a dozen men, all of which are here to attack Mui. As for Lucy, she's casually defeated Twilight's cleanup squad without even breaking a sweat. Lucy demands to know Mui's sister's location. Twilight is impressed that Mui somehow came in contact with Lucy of all people. Lucy skips the questions and immediately binds him in a spell, stating that she's to do the interrogation in his place. Twilight's entire body is warped in space when Mui explains that only Beryl was able to escape from this spell. Twilight shocks Lucy Diamond as he breaks free of her spell and then charges his fist to destroy Lucy. Twilight is hoping Lucy dies, but even he knows she's stubbornly hard to kill. Lucy is revealed to appear scratchless and lunges a giant sword at him engulfed in flames. The sword shatters, allowing Lucy to better understand the nature of his powers. The cloak he's wearing is called Raiment of the Dark Devourer. It actually has a pretty sick lore attached to it. A creature called the Magi Formationis was defeated, and was noted to possess a unique ability to not only endure magic, but also consume it. In short, it is just the ultimate weapon to defeat mages. Twilight's entire body was filled with magic equipment. He tries to punch Lucy, who easily escapes and shoves objects at him. Twilight is able to destroy such objects, thanks to his various magical items. Twilight is offended that Lucy's magic allows the midget to stay on par with him. Lucy notices the usage of the Force Ring, but it serves as nothing more than a distraction. The man is able to grab Lucy by the throat, and states that even he is aware she is incapable of going all out, because it would risk the civilians being harmed. Twilight exploited Lucy's disadvantage. He chokes Lucy, nearly killing her, after delivering a poetic rant about himself. Lucy laughs in the face of death and shows off her unrelenting confidence. Twilight calls her a child, but Lucy gets serious and tells him to quiet down. Resuming the fight with Beryl, he protects Mui and uses his disarming slashes to defeat his opponents. The rest of them are shocked to observe the man's immense sword fight prowess. Back to the scene with Lucy, she creates an opening just beneath the both of them, making Twilight fall down to the sewers, a place fitting for the rat. Lucy joins him on her way down like the queen she is. Twilight reminds her that even though Lucy can use her magic, she still can't do much about his cloak. Lucy happily accepts the challenge and emphasizes that she'll teach him what magic is really about. She really said, "Come catch this smoke, lil boy." A power that is channeled by the usage of magic power is no different than a monster's ability to cause severe distraction. Lucy states that sorcerers are a befitting term for what they are. She's rambling when Twilight shoves a bunch of rocks at her, which is followed by many attacks to defeat her. Lucy uses the water to overwhelm him, followed by her usage of earth magic to punch him. Twilight is utterly shaking, and his cloak becomes incapable of blocking such an attack. He does defeat the rock warrior, but gets blindsided by Lucy, who uses another rock golem to drive his entire body down. Lucy notes that his magic item can't contend against objects that are made of nature. Twilight gets annoyed and drives a fist right up her belly. He bashes Lucy into the ground and even mocks her for thinking she won their confrontation. Suddenly, Twilight experiences a shock as he sees Lucy's rock body withering away, implying it was a fake. The same rock Lucy punches him next week. Lucy engulfs him with a body of water, overwhelming Twilight's physical strength. It's time for a quiz session with Lucy herself. She wonders how the beast who could consume and defeat all magic, while also staying immune to projectiles, could ever be defeated. There was no such way to defeat the beast, so only a sorcerer with the ability to use body strength magic could defeat the monster. Lucy demonstrates her point as she infuses strength into her fist. Twilight is getting shivers, expecting Lucy to chuck this fist into him. Twilight is so terrified that he's ready to reveal Mui's sister's location. Twilight tells her that Helica was moved to another location that only he knows about. He's ready to talk if Lucy complies and lets him leave. Lucy's best answer to his proposal is a happy refusal. She's uninterested in everything else and charges her nuclear fist right towards this man. At the end of the strike, the residents of the city could literally feel the ground shaking, a testament to Lucy's power. The aftermath of the punch uncovers as Twilight is rendered unconscious after suffering such a heavy blow. There's the obvious concern that someone even above Twilight's powers gave him magical equipment. He's the final boss who's keeping Helica, and Lucy's looking forward to meeting him. Beryl's fight with the men concludes with a grim ending.